First, I'm proud of our team and the way that they have responded, especially over the last few days and in the last week. And it was one of those things where I'd like to tell you that we had, 2 practices a day and countless film sessions, but it wasn't one of those situations. We hadn't been together from Friday night until Sunday night because we had to take another day off this past week because we had not taken a day off the week before. So we took Saturday off, and we practiced Sunday, watched very little film, and had a very spirited, full court, get after it practice. Came back on Monday, much the same, a little bit shorter. Worked hard on Pittsburgh on Monday and then last night, and they made a lot of strides. So what they've shown is when they really focus and concentrate and put their mind to the defensive end of the court and put their mind and their bodies into the fight, especially on the glass. Our numbers weren't reflective of how hard we worked on the backboards, but the points in the paint certainly were. And that is one of the best rebounding teams year in and year out. They're one of the dominant rebound margin teams for ever since I've been personally competing against them. And that team takes a backseat to nobody when it comes to rebounding the ball because everybody rebounds on their team. Well, tonight everybody had to fight for us, and they did. And thought the points in the paint was big. I think key for us was that we wanted to take away penetration as much as possible. We got a little stagnant in our zone and even in our man late in the first half to give them some confidence with the threes. And we just didn't. We weren't moving quite as fast on the pass, a little bit more on the catch. I told the team at halftime, told our coaches, I said, this is the pace we want. I'm not sure they want this pace. And the second half, I think for the most part, played that out in the fact that they didn't make as many threes in the second half, and we kept the running game going, and we knew they wouldn't go away. We knew they'd come with pressure, and we've got to continue to clean up a couple things and meet the ball. We were doing a very good job of grabbing the ball with 2 hands, 2-hand rebounds, 2-hand loose balls, and at the end, all of a sudden, we're back to the 1-hand stuff. And we've got to continue to get that fixed. So we've got a lot of things to get better at, and I don't think there's any question. I think every team would say that. But the way that they came back with focus in a 40-minute mindset tonight was really impressive for the youth of this team, especially with the young guys that did it. And a couple key things, not only did Emmett play very well, but I thought the fact that Hunter came back in the second half after playing just, 4 minutes? Yeah. Something like playing so few minutes in the first half because of the foul situation. He came back out and played like he'd been playing the entire game. And I think that's another thing. People always ask, about Hunter. That's the sign of consistency that we have to get from him. And certainly Emmett did a fantastic job tonight. I think the way James and Robert played against that type of pressure and that kind of physicality was really good. I thought Yogi did a very good job of being able to come back in and play. We rolled the dice at the end of the first half. It's not a steadfast rule to hold a guy out with 2 fouls, but I felt with the pace of this game and if they wanted to continue to run and with the length of the game, that it would be important to hold him. But I thought he did a really good job with that. And really everybody that played, certainly Colin, Nick, the up and down play of Troy, back and forth in the court, all those things really helped provide a lot of energy for us. So a very good team win.
Mike?
You spoke yesterday about, expecting Emmett to play tonight. Is that the Emmett you've seen in practice, or is that better than you?
No, that's Emmett. We have not seen that Emmett quite like that. That's a pretty good Emmett right there. So he was a product of, no, we've seen him also like that. Emmett's gaining confidence, and I think that's the huge thing, because he just didn't have the game experience. But he's a product of going against Hunter every day. He has to deal with Troy every day. And I thought the over-the-top basket tonight, see, the one big thing for us offensively, we're still so far away from where we need to be on offense. But the one thing we hadn't been doing the last couple of games is running the ball back at people when they scored. It was almost like we got deflated. Young people, instead of understand that disappointment's like inevitable, they get discouraged and we don't go back against that defense. Well, tonight we didn't let that be a factor. We ran. And Emmett was a good product of that basket over the top. That Cody used to get 1.5. That might have been our first one of the season, right? So that's kind of indicative. We hadn't seen that from Emmett quite in practice. But He'll build on that. He's working very hard, and even when he was out, he was working extremely hard. And I think he's learning a lot here. I think he's growing a lot here, and hopefully he'll continue to stay on that path, as hopefully they all will.
Zach?
You've talked about this, I guess, in the last few weeks, but what have the sort of parallel challenges been with working with him through the suspension, just, I guess, on the court certainly, and developing him while he's suspended, and also just kind of off the court, working him through all the mental and emotional issues that I would imagine are attached to everything he's been through?
I think certainly when you go back to the beginning of what happened with the accident, that we didn't let him out of our sight the first 48 hours, literally, other than probably when, he took a shower and used the restroom. But other than that, I mean, there was an adult with him all the time. I mean, a staff member, because it was just too tough. It was tough for everybody. And I think he's responded well to that. I look at him and I think he's out there playing hard, and I see Devin there, who wants to play so bad. And I think if this team has learned, and I knock on wood, we could have an issue tonight. I mean, it's youth, but I think they've learned when something's taken away that they hadn't taken away, that they're going to respond to that. They're going to go one way or the other. They're either going to respond in a very positive, hungry way, or they're going to get down about it and pout, and they haven't done that. And he's worked extremely hard. He's been, and he just got to continue to grow. But during the time of sitting out with Troy and Stan and the other guys, we just spent a lot of time doing. The team would be done with the individual, or with the walkthrough. They'd go to eat, and we'd work those guys out for 45 minutes. And we never let those guys think that they weren't an important part of our team. They didn't come out to the games, but they kept stats in the back. But they also had to understand they had to earn their way back into not only the good graces of the fans and community, they had to earn their graces, or they had to earn their way back into team play. And they're working at that. It's a big process, but I think we're maturing. It's hard to look at Devin. But we are mature, and we want to continue to do that.
Reed?
Coach, James leading all freshmen in national in scoring. I'm more curious what he means for your offense, big picture, as far as spreading the floor, everything that you can do, what it means for everyone.
Well, he brings a lot with that, but you know what? I thought he played much better defensively tonight. So I think a big thing with James, and one of the big reasons that he came here, is because he understood he needed to get to college to be a complete player. Loved Indiana, from the state of Indiana, and he wanted to be a complete player. And he can score with his eyes closed, right? But he needed to get to the point where he can make decisions, he can pass the ball, he can move without the ball, play faster, harder, longer, especially on the defensive end. He's going to get better and better offensively, because he still doesn't. They did a good job of knowing where he was at all the time, and that created so much more movement for everybody else. But yet at the same time, he did a good job coming off screens. He's handling the ball. He's getting better and better. As he gets stronger, you'll see, like the one play where we all would have liked to seen a foul call, over on the left side. He's got to learn to drop his shoulder there. Like the referee said, they're both locked up with each other. Well, you would think the benefit of the doubt is going to go to the offense on that. But it's not there yet, right? So you got to drop that shoulder and create. He's just not, that strength part, he's gotten a lot stronger, but that strength part is not there yet. But as the strength comes, is the awareness of how many ways he can score without the ball, in his cutting, in his screening, in his spacing. When he understands how well he can run that floor every time, when he gets even better in the ball screen, and then as he continues to grow defensively, he'll mean even more to the team. But he is one of the most willing workers, serious-minded gym rat people I have ever been around, as is Robert. And as long as they keep that, that goes away. We've had some players started out pretty good here, and all of a sudden they forgot that key card's 24 hours, and it catches up with them. The ones that remember that key card's 24 hours, they end up in the NBA, or they end up being in a pretty good spot. And hopefully he will continue to do that, because he's just scratching the surface.
Bob?
Tom, do you think that Emmett has finally forgiven himself for what happened? And what are some of the things that you did along with the Davis family to help him work?
Well, I
through that
can't answer the
process?
first part because I wasn't even there, and I know what I feel like. I did not mean for this to be like this tonight, but I don't know. You know, we tried to make sure he understood right away that he was forgiven because that could have happened to anybody. And you could say, well, no, he shouldn't have been there. There's no question he shouldn't have been there. There's no question he shouldn't have been out. There's no question, okay? But he was, and he has to recover from it. And I think the Davis family, I think starting that Saturday night, they were fantastic. Whether it was Devin Sr. here, or whether it was his mother there at the hospital. And I'm not going to put words in anybody's mouth or try to put thoughts in somebody's head, but I was pretty inspired by the level of I was inspired by the care they have for him. And I think that's continued. And I think his teammates did a great job of rallying around him. As they have Devin, as they have each other. And, but again, we just got to keep growing up. I mean, we've just got to keep getting better. We've got to keep being better off the court, on the court, every area of life. And hopefully this continues to show him that he's capable of this. And he continues to work, because there's never been a day that he didn't work. I'll tell you that. There's never been a day that they might have been down, but they worked, and they worked to get better.
Rick?
He didn't even commit. He didn't go to. He wasn't on the team when he went to Canada. He didn't.
No, he was in the EYBL.
Yeah, he didn't.
and
Committed on August 20th. That's pretty unusual for a major college program.
he should be at Vermont Academy right now, and that's an excellent coach there at Vermont Academy, and he'd be getting coached well. But we're glad he's here.
How do you explain it?
We knew. I think great research by Chuck Martin, tremendous research. We got into the situation in August, and pretty much around the Canada time, we said we need another player. And we weren't going to go into the season if we could get the right guy. You know, there were some other people that we recruited, but we were also, we were just going to be active recruiting. And we weren't going to take someone just to take someone. We weren't going to take someone to fill a scholarship. That we didn't need to do that. We needed, if we could find somebody that would have a chance to come in here and compete. Not necessarily be a starter, but come in here and compete. That's what we wanted. So Chuck did a tremendous job with his contacts back there of knowing that Emmett had played in the EYBL, was eligible to come out, was going to go to Vermont Academy, did some research. He had some other offers for the following year. He had turned down some other offers for the past year. And we started studying film. We looked all back through the EYBL. We'd seen him, but we hadn't studied him because we really weren't actively recruiting for this year at that point. And we decided that we were, and it moved really fast. And he was excited about it. And I'll answer this with, go back to Bob. His family was here last week, which I think that helped him, you know, to see his whole family here for Thanksgiving. And, and don't anybody make any mistake here. I'm not sitting up here trying to condone anything that's happened. I mean, we just been through a lot. So I'm not looking for a sympathy vote on anything. I'm just giving you my feelings of how they're growing. But he came in and he was excited, and we made it clear right away, this guy's in here to compete. So come in here to compete. He's not in here to be anybody's understudy. And he's, you know, was he ready for it right away? No. You know, not off the court or on the court. But he's learning. And hopefully he'll continue to do that.
Anything else for Coach?
I guess unrelated to all this, but you guys just had a lot of success against their 2-3 zone tonight. It felt like it never slowed you down. It felt like, especially getting the ball to the middle, Nick talked about this, just opened everything up. What worked against that zone?
The other night, see what we're trying to do in the games, and sometimes, in the other night we should have cut more against their zone, against UNCG, but we want them to understand how to move without the ball, you know, and how free that baseline is, and some random cutting. And tonight their zone was extended, and what we're not doing a great job. Bob Ham would be the first to say we're not pass faking. You know, we work on shot fakes. It doesn't always look like it, but we're not pass faking the zone enough. But they were extended, and we were able to get it inside because of that extension, and that's where having really good shooters comes in. I mean, they couldn't stay back at the three-point line on those guys. So that freed the middle up, and then Hunter and Emmett did a really good job of moving in the baseline. And we just ran some actions that would cut from opposite corners. And I think we got a dunk with Colin, I think Colin was in the middle. When we got the pass on the opposite side to Hunter, that was on another one of our sets. It's more stationary. But we want to get in the middle of the zone either by flashing, either by screening it, or slipping into it off the screen. And so I thought they did a really good job. The ball never stopped. I mean, the ball never stopped all night. And again, even at the end of the game when we're trying to take some air, out of the clock and make the clock our ally, not our enemy, we went a little too fast. And instead of taking it back out, we've got to continue to work on that. But I thought they showed great patience against the zone, but we weren't stagnant. We were moving and we were trying to get the best shot, and for the most part we got it, and we were able to still rebound out of it.
Okay. Go ahead, Jerry.
Going back to the mindset you were talking about at the beginning, is this one of those games you can go back and say to them, no excuses, you've shown me what you're capable of?
Well, I don't know if you can say that with youth. I don't know if you can say no excuses. I think you keep making that point that we show a lot of film. We show a lot of, this is what it looks like when we're doing it well. This is what it looks like when we're not doing it well. I think you keep holding them accountable. I think they see it more and more. But, the bottom line is, like I said to them, we got to come out as prepared for Savannah State as we were for Pittsburgh. And it's the same thing when we go into New York next week, because I know they'll be obviously ready to play that, but great teams that are going to be great teams. And we got a long way to go before we're, one of those teams. But the only way you get there is to come out every game and attack it the same way. And that's what we have to do. And so that's up to the coaches, that's up to the leadership of the group, but it's up to each and every, here's what you really want now. You want those players to know if somebody is not as locked in as they need to be because they've had the success of doing it connected, that they will get on that person and then they will make that point. And that's what we really hope to get.
Last
Okay.
question, Pete.
Yeah, Tom, the ability to listen, and by that I'm talking about defense and the way you guys follow the scouting report. As you know, sometimes youth doesn't listen, but the way you guys...
They don't always hear. They get good eye contact and we get that. They don't always hear what you're saying, but go ahead.
The way they responded, they did listen, they did have good eye contact, I'm assuming, but the way they responded shut down the interior, shut down a lot of dribble penetration. How satisfying is that, and how much is that the growth that this team has made?
Well, that's what you want. What you want to do is you want to improve while you're winning, okay? And if you improve enough, you're going to win, right? But you want to get better from one game to the next, and then you want to be able to carry it out, and that's exactly what they did. And what they've got to learn now is that there's SMU, there's Pittsburgh, then there's some teams that maybe aren't household names to them. All right, there's some other teams on the horizon that are household names. You got to come that way every game. That's the concern always with any team, but especially a team that hasn't been through it. With the team that has so many guys that are doing this, for the first time, and that was our message in there. If we're growing up, I wouldn't use the term like Jeremy said with no excuses, but if we're growing up, as we prepare, it's not going to look any different. The team will be different, the game plan might be different, but how we prepare won't be any different, and that's what they've got to learn how to do. Now, is that wishful thinking? To a degree, but we're going to do our best to hold them accountable to it and see how it goes.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.